A very good morning. Today is 10th July 2020. There are 4 articles of the Hindu editorial page to be discussed. The first article is on the problem of being over-reliant, that is dependent on one revenue system. It is regarding the immigration and custom enforcement regulations, how they are banning the student visas and they are denying the entry for the students enrolled in online program and how they are changing the reforms. This next article is on the Supreme Court had waived the criminal conspiracy. The persons who are contesting in election can have the criminal conspiracy. This is very important article to be discussed. The next article is on the visa politics by the Trump government, and the third final article is regarding the US stands to lose by withdrawing the WHO. It will forego the health intelligence. Before I discuss, we get into the article discussion. I am Prashant. I welcome you all to Wifi's study Karo. If you are new to my channel, I request you all to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that every notification you will get notified. This is the cartoon of the day. It clearly depicts that this is regarding the Bihar elections. The first article is on the problem of being over-reliant on one revenue stream. Recently, the US immigration custom enforcement regulations regarding the student visa have thrown US-based international students into turmoil. The regulation adds a new dimension to the pandemic-riddled academic year by denying the entry to the students enrolled in fully online programs and requiring existing students to either switch to campuses with at least one in-person course or risk deportation. Disruptive an impact as this may have seen for the students, there is another potentially larger impact that warrants inspection. The impact of the Union Finance University is on finances. The withdrawal of public funds. The past several decades have seen an ever-increasing relative withdrawal of publicly funds from universities globally, even as the demand for higher education access had grown. The perception of the college as means to high income combined with the emphasis on the competition-driven efficiency have meant a global trend of replacing college grants with loans and tuition fees or other private forms for funding. Proponents of this purpose have also argued that this helped increase the autonomy of universities. The phenomena had been particularly pronounced in the US. Tuition costs have been steadily rising and greater share of the cost of education is placed on the students and their families with some supplementation by federal, state or private loans. Unlike the domestic students, international students with a few exceptions are not eligible for federal college loans and rely on payment either out of pocket or from private loans. There is also less domestic pressure to reduce tuition rates or provide concessions for them, and the risk of advocacy from the students themselves is somewhat less given their precarious visa status. In the normal year, the pool of international college applicants for a given school is much larger than the number of positions available, so a rise of tuition costs will be likely to see these seats filled. Finally, the college route has proven highly popular for those seeking to eventually immigrate. The ultimate outcome of these factors is that international students can in general be relied on the pay much more than in the domestic counterparts, making them attractive for universities looking to boost their revenue streams. Indeed, the US Department of Commerce estimated that international students contributed about $44.7 billion in 2018 to the US economy, including tuition, households, and other private consumption. COVID-19 had already wrecked any financial planning revolution revolving around the international students. The shuttering of campuses and restricted international travel have made the fall semester a less attractive prospect for the both returning and new students uninterested in paying the full price of curtailed college experience. The ICE, the norms and regulations, add several further wrinkles. By adding additional visa-related questions over and above everything else, universities find themselves in an even more uncertain position. Committing to the online-only model risks reducing international students' intake even further. Conversely, having in-person classes to secure revenue streams puts students at risk and could anyway lead to potentially costs a shutdown of mid-semester. These limited solutions, there are also some limitations for university administration seeking to find solutions beyond the tuition revenue. Additional public funds seem exceedingly unlikely, and existing relief via CARES Act, that is Coronavirus Aid, Relief and Economic Security Act, had fallen in short. Private research grants are another potential sources, but these funds have themselves likely to diminish due to the pandemic. Some universities possess endowments, that is large sums of money that is invested on them used in income sources, but these are also unlikely to be much help. The fluctuating market had severely impacted most endowments, investment incomes and underlying capital cannot even touch the both university policy and potential restrictions that donors have attached to their usage. In short, universities with already limited fiscal space will now find themselves even further squeezed by the new regulations by ICE, affecting an important revenue sources. Larger colleges have already begun a pushback. Of Massachusetts Institute of Technology and Harvard University have filed a lawsuit against the US Department of Homeland Security and the ICE regarding the new norms. There are also discussions begin held in other schools about loopholes to offer in-person courses without requiring students to actually turn up to the campus. In the event that of these efforts fail, however, economic pressures will be large, particularly for smaller schools with less clout. This essentially join that many raids on other businesses struggling to choose between economic viability and public health. Ironically, the very condition proposed as increasing university autonomy have conversely placed them in a situation with limited options. Going forward, there is a need for US universities to reflect on vulnerabilities created by the system, over-reliant on any of the revenue systems, and in a long term reconsider the legitimacy of the study privatization of higher education. In the meantime, the fall semester remains in a murky and ambiguous as ever. This is regarding the problem of being over-reliant on the revenue systems and how US universities are now in a limited fiscal space. The next article is on criminalisation in politics. A February 2020 Supreme Court judgment on criminalisation in politics may have far-reaching consequences of Indian democracy. It will be implemented in the coming Bihar election in October 2020. The court had asked the political parties to state the reasons for such selection as to why other individuals without criminal antecedents could not be selected as the candidates. If the political party fails to comply, it would in attempt of the court or order directions. In other words, a political party and its leadership would for the first time have to publicly own up the criminalization of the politics. They have been denying it for all the years. Earlier, the order states that each candidate shall submit a sworn affidavit giving financial detail and criminal cases, and also the second point, each candidate shall inform the political party in writing of criminal cases against him or her, and the third point is that the party shall put up with the website and the social media as well as publish in newspapers and the names and details of such candidates. Then why did the court pass such an order? The judgment notes that in 2004 around 24% of members of parliament had criminal cases pending against them, and in 2009 that went up to 30%, and in 2014 it went up to 34%, and in 2019 as many as 43% of MPs have criminal cases pending against them. India is only democratic country with a free press where we find a problem in these dimensions. An ever-present crisis is that we are in the midst of more immediate crisis, that is COVID-19 outbreak, the economic recession due to lockdown, the migration worker crisis, some small businesses shutting down in many sectors, massive unemployment, a highly stressed banking and financial sector, and now the conflict with China. Added to this, the ever-present silent crisis, the steady deterioration in politics over the decades, with the decline acceleration in the past 16 years. As politics dominates the bureaucracy and reigns in business, civil society and the media, We need governance that is free of the criminal virus. Capability is not sufficient. The incident or the intent to do public service is also required. The British were capable, but we still do not want them. Today, it is not about the party, it is about the political system. The result has been that we get bad governance, and survey over after the show that the people around the country are happy with the quality of governance. Given limited choices, they vote as best as they can, but no matter how parties are changed, governance does not really improve. A few expectations or exceptions apart, using money power to buy MLAs, MPs, and sometimes make a mockery of election outcomes. Meanwhile, the electoral bonds bring secrecy back in the political funding. Several laws and courts' judgment have not helped them much, and the data shown one reason is lacking of enforcement of laws and judgment. It is not clear that what penalty would be imposed if the present orders are not followed. Would the law enforcement agencies again act vigorously to ensure that the guilty are prosecuted? Would any political leader responsible for not complying be found guilty? Would an election be set aside? Without such action, will there be a change? Being vigilant, therefore, in the coming Bihar elections, we need to be far more vigilant. This includes monitoring of affidavits of candidates, working with Election Commission to ensure that the information is promptly available on the websites, and widely circulating this information to the voters using all the social media tools available. It also includes monitoring compliance with Supreme Court judgment to see if details are tainted of the tainted candidate or promptly put up on their website and their social media handles, along with the proper reasons for giving them ticket. The court had said that winnability cannot be cited as a reason. Voters also need to be vigilant about missing documents during the elections. Till we realize that the people who bribe up for the votes cannot be trusted, change will be very slow. Fortunately, an ever-growing number of the voters and organizations are joining in the work of cleansing the politics. Meanwhile, the voters will be muddied with the fake news, trolling and financial claims. This may drown out the little that the citizens can do, yet there is no hope. Ensuring prosecution with the public pressure may help. If political leaders is huddled up for giving ticket to the large number of tainted candidates, something positive may happen. A root cause diagnosis shows that the political leaders are squarely responsible for the state affairs as the fields such as candidates. Mahatma Gandhi taught us that to solve a problem, we have to confront the real issue. The court order is welcomed, but we are still unable to ban the people with serious criminal charges from contesting elections. While there were various arguments for against such a move, the court had dismissed several petitions calling for a ban due to legal and technical constraints. Meanwhile, the political system is unwilling to change the law of the system. Politics for now has been captured by those who want power for its own sake. In conclusion, we may now see the dramatic change in the quality of the candidates. Campaigns may continue to be more and more personal, even abusive. We may not see a big change for the money power or buying MLAs post-elections in a case of hung assembly, but all the steps are required, however insignificant they may seem. All the dozen and more Supreme Court judgment in the electoral reforms in 2002 are in fact response of these citizens' initiatives. Not one initiative has come from the political system. The strategy so far has been with the methodology to try break down the solid wall of the corruption. When the dam will be breached and the pure waters of the new India flow over the land cannot be predicted. This is regarding the criminalisation in politics, the Supreme Court verdict. The next article is on visa politics. Changes in the US visa rules might do more harm than good to the economy in a long term. The administration by the President Trump seems to have pursuing controversial immigration policy measures following the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the visa issuance of the students in the universities or the programs that are conducted entirely online from the fall 2020 semester will be stopped. Such students will not be permitted to enter US. The Federal Immigration and Custom Enforcement agencies also advised that the student active students currently in US enroll in a program that would be administered in online mode and are required to leave the country or transfer to the university with in-person instructions to remain in lawful status. If not, ICE cautioned the risk in the initiation by the removal proceedings or similar immigration consequences. Palpable ripples of anger across the US education system took the form of lawsuits led by Harvard University and Massachusetts Institute of Technology to block the ICE directive. This is the latest twist in the ongoing immigration policy crackdown by the Trump administration, which includes the halt of issuance of the visas for skilled workers or H-1B on the dependent and visa for intercompany transfers or L-1 and their dependents. Taking a step back, the evolution or evolving Trump immigration paradigm leaves several big questions unanswered. First is that while an argument, however harsh and myopic, could be made that the US economy had suffered battering in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, and a key to recover is it to protect US jobs from being concerned by foreign workers. What could be the possible rationale to be imperil the lives of foreign students, all of them admitted to the university in merit, and none of them have posing an immediate threat to job. Secondly, given the market forces of the demand and supply have led to US economy being suffused with immigrant workers across the sectors of many decades, how could a Trump administration now posit that its local population have adequate skilled labor or to do with the jobs that millions of Indians, Chinese and other foreign workers have so sufficiently been doing all this while? Unless Mr. Trump is planning to massively overhaul the US higher and professional education system to imbue Americans with technical know-how and culture of advanced learning, it may be futile to wall off large swaths of the economy or to those capable of delivering values of such jobs. If Mr. Trump is only doing this to shore up his election campaign through political signaling, then it will be economic prospects of very people he claimed to be fighting for. The damage will be in a longer term. This is on the visa politics, the Trump immigration policy. The next article is on the US stand to lose by withdrawing from the WHO. It will also forego health intelligence. When the number of novel coronavirus cases and deaths in US reached around 2.8 million, nearly 0.13 million respectively, the US officials notified that United Nations of the intentions to withdraw membership from the World Health Organization. This comes after President Donald Trump announced on May 29 his decision to halt funding and pull out of the global health body after accusing WHO being China-centric on multiple occasions. This unfortunate development is one more attempt by Mr. Trump to deflect the blame for the gross mismanagement of the crisis. On May 18, later he officially demanded the WHO make major substantive improvements in 30 days, while charged that the global body lacked independence from China, was slow to respond to the threat that had repeatedly made inaccurate or misleading claims about the virus, since the decision had apparently been taken without the approval of the Congress, and as to withdrawal will become effective only in July 6 next year. There is a possibility that the court might reverse the withdrawal. Already Democratic challenger Joe Biden had promised to revoke if he is elected as a president. There is a much at the stake of unsurprising Congress is already putting pressure from the academic and medical association to reject the withdrawal. The capricious decision to withdraw from WHO will have direct consequences for the global public health. The pandemic had clearly brought to the fore several shortcomings and weaknesses in the global health body. For instance, in 2005 revision, the international health regulations made in the mandatory for countries to notify the WHO of all events that may constitute an international public health emergency and to respond to requests for a verification of information regarding such events. Yet the WHO had limited power to ensure compliance by the member states, including limitations in independently verifying member states, official reports said. If the US was majorly involved in 2005 IHO revision, it will now have to no role to play in strengthening the WHO. It will also lose a seat at the table to determine a virus strain to be used for developing influenza vaccine, that is a flu, killed around 34,000 people in the US in 2018 to 2019, and have no access to the new influenza virus samples for the research. With no more than US scientists embedded in the WHO in the key rules, including the outbreak response terms, like the one with the visited Wuhan, it will also lose out the health intelligence that will compromise the country's response of international disease outbreaks. In the end of none gains from the further, which is weakening the WHO. This is regarding on US withdrawal from the WHO. The US stands to lose by withdrawing the WHO. It will forego health intelligence and decision to halt funding and pull out of the global health body. That's the end of article discussion. If you are new to my channel, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you will get notified every notification what I do the videos. If you are first to my channel, what I do is job updates, interesting facts, technical glitches and everyday editorials. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.